Hi, my name is Finn,
My name is Paulina.
and today we're going to talk about.
Disability, especially in Judaism.
Oh my gosh, there we go. So, here we are.
Hello.
People have talked to me about this show, and they're calling it a podcast, which I guess I'm okay with.
I'm calling it a podcast.
Okay, yeah, maybe I'm not. I think of it as a talk show.
I think it's a great talk show. I
'Cause
think you're a
it's.
great talk host.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's a video, very video element, visual element.
Yeah.
We don't have a live audience. Well, we do. The crew in the back, but
I hope they laugh.
I hope they laugh too. But we don't have a formal live audience, so I guess you know.
We could.
I guess I
bring-
understand.
We could bring in Hadassah.
We could bring in people. We could set up chairs, but I don't know. Um, do you want to tell me why you're dressed like Sherlock Holmes?
Oh, I'm sorry. I am having a John Mulaney moment. It is, hello, my first time in front of the camera, not behind the camera. I used to
Mhm.
work at a video production studio in Everett, where I had a fancy title, audio engineering intern,
Whoa,
but I did everything.
intern, were you paid?
No,
Oh.
my brother co-owned the studio. It was fun. I had a lot of good times, but it was just my first time having a job, and it started the blossoming of my adulthood.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
What
Well,
we met through the Jewish community
we did.
here at Western.
We did. I know the exact day we met. It
Let's
was.
see if it's the same day that I'm thinking of.
Ready?
3, 2, 1.
Yom
Sukkot.
Kippur.
Whoa! When did we talk at Yom Kippur?
I think we.
Yom
Yeah,
Kippur.
I'm serious.
Describe it.
I remember being an hour late, like always, and talking to you about the bugs in my house.
I thought that was Sukkot.
No. Because
Wasn't
Sukkot,
that the Shabbat in the Sukkah?
No, I don't think so.
With the cat, remember? No.
I
Come
have
on.
poor memory. Maybe. I just remember it's either that day or it's either Yom Kippur because fasting, and I remember being very, very, very hungry.
Yeah.
Which
Well.
we're going to talk about fasting today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Is it Sukkot? It's fine if it's Sukkot, but now I'm sorry.
No, I don't remember.
It's
See, all
been
that
so
blends
long.
together. It's so funny because that Yom Kippur event was so big.
Yeah.
So many people were there. I don't remember any of it. Barely remember it.
I just remember eating matzo ball soup and thinking, wow, this is better than what I could make.
I remember the matzo ball soup.
Yeah,
That was good.
it's pretty memorable.
I didn't fast that year.
I did, but I broke my fast with I drink water when I fast. I physically cannot go without water.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I fasted this year.
Mhm.
I did break it once, and it was at like 3 p.m. and I was starting to feel You know.
Woozy.
not good, so I had a protein shake,
Good.
and then I think that's defensible. But so fasting,
Fasting.
you're connecting that to your
To-
topic, aren't you?
Disabilities. So, today we're going to be talking about disability in general.
Mhm.
But especially within Judaism, the approach to disability is really different depending on the text you look at,
Mhm.
and how ancient texts look at what it is like to be disabled.
Mm-hmm.
Because as we know, disabled people did not pop up 20 years ago.
Right.
They've been around for 5,000 years. And within those 5,000 years, we've seen that different texts either do it in a positive or a negative way of letting disabled people not have to do certain mitzvot, such as fasting, which is logical. Someone who is, for example, diabetic, type 1 diabetes, needs sugar. And so it would be illogical to ask them to fast when they need sugar.
So just a very, very brief context. It's okay. No, certain Jewish holidays.
Yeah.
Most famously Yom Kippur, require fasting. It's Yom Kippur probably is the highest level of.
Yeah.
You don't for 25 hours. You
Don't
do not eat
eat.
or drink.
Recently, we had the fast of Esther as well.
Yeah. So there's some minor fast days where you don't fast as long.
Yeah.
And obviously, not eating anything for 25 hours might pose a health risk or other health burden to someone with a particular disability.
Yeah. Generally, people who are blind, deaf, mute, and who have varying different disabilities are exempt from the commandments that are required upon Jewish people, the mitzvot, for a definition. Although I did research and I saw that blind people are still obligated to do the mitzvot, but they cannot stand as witnesses during testimonies and trial. Pretty cool. But there are also a lot of arguments from activists, online at least, that I've seen, that say that this treatment is degrading them to, it's infantilizing them in a sense. That they are being treated like children within the Jewish religion instead of fully blown bat and bar mitzvahs.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, they turned 13, they turned 12, and they, just like I did,
They have that responsibility.
They have that responsibility, but depending on the environment they live in, the response to their disability is rather different.
So it's less of a, can we make a mitzvot accessible?
Yeah.
And it's more, well, just don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And of course, we're talking about mitzvot, the kind of traditional, I'll emphasize traditional, religious requirements for Jews under Jewish religious law. So an example would be no eating pork, keeping the Sabbath, Shabbat, holy. Yeah. Stuff like that. And of course, they are rules, but they're also ways of connecting religiously or connecting culturally. They are fulfilling for a lot of people. And so it might, on first glance, you might think, oh, well, it's a rule they don't have to worry about. It's more complicated than that.
Yeah, I mean, Pirkei Avot, I can tell you exactly where in Pirkei Avot. Pirkei Avot is a general baseline law document that says don't separate yourself from the community. And just the exclusionary acts that we're seeing can isolate people from being able to do what they love, seeing their community. The whole point of Judaism, at least in my experience, and I'd love to hear your point of view, is seeing your community, being present.
Yeah.
And
I agree. When people have asked me why do I connect with this religion or this kind of why do I connect with Judaism? The number one answer, immediately that comes to my head is community.
Yeah. Even
above everything.
I have a lot of atheists, Jewish atheists in my family. and yet we still go to synagogue and do certain things, even if we don't believe in the religion anymore, because of community.
Hmm. And it's
Um,
a culture, and it's a people.
it's a people
Hmm.
that you just don't want to lose.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And so these ways of thinking about disability classically can cut people out of that.
Yeah. What's your definition of disability?
It's complicated. Um, disability is socially constructed, in the sense that there are just lots of people with lots of different ways that their body or brain or whatever might work, and society has created a normative definition of what a person is supposed to be and be able to do, and then the folks that don't fall into that for whatever reason are labeled as disabled. Not that having an identity as being disabled isn't an identity. Someone can self-identify. I am disabled. I care about that identity.
Yeah.
Um. So I don't know if there's a I don't know if there's a I think it's disability is an inherent physical, and I'm including like
Mental disabilities.
yeah, or autism spectrum disorder or whatever, um, just anything that uh, physically creates some sort of accessibility barrier,
Mm-hmm.
or well, I don't know about that. I'm just it's something that fits outside of the norm or the mean that society has created. Um, I don't know. I mean, I again, I don't think it's. I think it's ultimately kind of up to the individual person how they want to identify. But
Yeah. I mean, I'd argue that it all comes back to what we see as what is a healthy person,
sure.
in the sense of we have a lot of people who have chronic illnesses who would identify as disabled.
Mm-hmm.
Crohn's, people who can't go about their day-to-day lives without just being reminded of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, I think you're right. It in some way an accessibility question. Um. Yeah. Were you going somewhere specific with that?
I don't know. I want to ask you what your fit is today, and then I'll tell you why I'm wearing what I'm wearing.
Okay. So I'm. Let's see. I think this is almost all thrifted. I got these shoes from Depop.
Nice.
Um, very quick story time about them. Um, they were, I don't know, like $20. But they were just like perfect size, and I liked them, so I bought them. And they didn't ship for like 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. And then the seller messaged me,
Mm-hmm.
and she said, "Hey, I'm so sorry. I totally, one, for not shipping them, but two, I forgot to add a couple of pictures to the listing showing a couple of scuff marks. Here, I updated the listing with the pictures, and let me know if you still want them." And I looked, and they're very, very small, barely noticeable. So I was like, "Sure, no, I'll still take them. Thank you." She said, "Oh well, thank you for understanding. I'll give you a discount."
Yeah.
Um, and I'll ship them out right away. And she gave me like a $5 discount,
For
which
a couple of
for
scuff
for like
marks.
$22
I mean,
was pretty good, I think.
can I tell you a very niche side of YouTube that
Well,
I
I'll
love?
say one more thing. When I had them delivered, she not only did she throw in a couple of like bumblebee pins, but a very, very nice handwritten note on a card saying how um, thankful she was for me understanding. So, oh my God, best interaction buying something online ever. Niche side of YouTube. Or what were you going to say?
By the way, side
Yeah.
note, I do sell on Depop. This isn't sponsored by Depop.
You do?
I do. I've sold shoes before on Depop. I've also included handwritten notes. In general, with selling shoes, one of my very, very niche sides of YouTube that I love
Mm-hmm.
are shoe hauls and like clothing hauls.
Mm-hmm.
I am very anti-consumerism in this sense. Like, if I don't need it, I'm not going to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
Or I can't say that 100%. There are things that I've gotten, for example, this shirt.
Sure, but like for the most part.
For the most part, why would I
Mhm.
do this? But it fills a beautification instinct of mine.
Sure.
Yeah.
These pants, I don't remember. I think they're from Goodwill, but I really liked them. The belt is from Valley Village. Turtleneck is from Valley Village. The blazer is also from Valley Village.
Pearls.
Sorry to say, Amazon. Which I bought them like 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
So different person. Definitely would not buy them from Amazon now. But yeah, I got them from Amazon.
I mean, you are 3 years into adulthood. You have a lot of growth left.
Very true.
Yeah. I'm on your 2-ish
Of adulthood?
of adulthood.
Yeah.
We're going.
Just about.
Just about.
So tell me about your fit.
Right. These shoes, I don't know if the camera picked up on
It's
them.
a wide, yeah.
Beautiful.
they're
These
seen.
shoes were bought, my mom bought them for me
Fun?
from Russia. She had to visit because not in the spirit of disability, but because of disabilities, my grandma right now is disabled
Mm-hmm.
and she has no caregivers.
Mm-hmm.
And so my mom had to hire caregivers, and while she was there,
And your grandmother lives in Russia.
my grandmother lives in Russia. There
Yeah.
is no way she could get to the US.
Right.
My mom got me shoes.
It's
These
nice of her.
These pants are, I think, my mom's. I think after her first kid, somewhere in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
This shirt, consumerism, Target. I got it last summer, but I've gotten a lot of compliments. It fits me well. I don't have a lot of shirts like this.
I like it. I like the short sleeves.
Thank you. This is Etsy. It is vintage.
It's a beautiful
Thank
Magen
you.
David.
It's garnets. I don't know if we can do
We
a
can
cam moment.
Focus on that
We love it. If they're,
to
I hope they're having fun.
camera 3.
Camera 3.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
show
it's
it
a
off.
beautiful garnet Magen David.
Hold it up. Beautiful. So tell me, you have
About
another
this
very
one.
interesting necklace.
This does not fit the fit, but I wore it just for you, Finn.
Okay. Who is it?
It is Queen Nefertiti. What's up?
They're on your other side. There we go.
This is
It was just sticking out weird.
This is Queen Nefertiti. The reason I wore it was the first time I had any semblance of disability
Mhm.
was when I burnt my hand at 7 years old. I had huge scarring on this
Mhm.
hand, and I had to wear a glove for about 2 years because I could not show this hand to the sun, or else I
Wow.
would get burnt. And my mom felt really guilty, and to fuel my STEM, the woman in STEM part of me, at that point, girl in STEM, she took me to an Egyptology exhibition on King Tut, if you remember that, at the at the Seattle Science,
At the Pacific Science Center?
at the Pacific
Yeah, I
Science
think I
Center.
heard about it, but I never went myself.
It was fantastic.
Okay.
And at the end, I got this, and anytime I'm having an exam or something really important, I wear it. And it circles back to my first semblance of being disabled.
Sure.
Yeah.
So,
It is pretty funny, I want to
mhm.
say, that right now it is Passover.
Not yet.
Not yet,
Not yet. It is
but in a few hours.
in about 6 hours. Passover starts.
Passover starts.
And of course, Passover is about
Jewish exodus from
from
Egypt.
Egypt, where they were enslaved. in the narrative of the in the narrative of the Torah.
in the narrative of the Torah that we have here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is a little funny because I have an Egyptian queen and a Magen David, though I would like to publicly announce that there's no idolatry going on, one of the Jewish commandments.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a reminder. I've
Sure.
gotten questions why I wear her, and that's why. It's just a reminder.
Yeah.
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 Let's talk about Passover.
Yeah. So Moses.
So, on the topic about being disabled in Judaism, one of our best examples, starting in 6 hours, is Moses, who was someone who had a speech impediment. When we talked about how Judaism approaches disability,
See if I can. Well, keep talking. I'll see if I can find the in-text citation.
when we talk about how Judaism approaches disability, we see a lot of negative examples, but we also see quite a few positive examples in the sense of people approach Moses's speech impediment, stutter, as just an attribute of himself. He is the spokesperson for God,
Mm-hmm.
and so when people listen to him, they understand that all of his words are intentional. And he puts in a lot of effort to be able to speak those words. So he never rambles. He always speaks straight to the point of what God wants the Jewish people to say. And I think that's one of the most positive views we have of disability in the Torah. And I'm excited to celebrate Passover, partially in commemoration of disabled Jews, including myself, including you. But also, it's a holiday of love, I think.
I think so. It centers liberation.
Yeah, it centers liberation, it centers pride.
Mm-hmm. I failed to find
It's
the
okay.
citation in time, but that's okay.
I should have marked it.
It's okay. It is something that interpretation is definitely well known.
Yeah. It's the one I heard growing up.
Yeah, not well known, like standard.
Yeah.
But so I'm curious, why the magnifying glass? To observe to investigate the text.
To get into the nitty-gritty of being disabled and Jewish.
I think
it's for the drama.
Yeah, I support it. Do you want to talk a little bit about what else you brought? These books?
Sure. When researching for this topic,
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to see what modern and historical things I could find on this topic, because there is some research, but there isn't a lot of literature.
Yeah.
And I'm not the first person to talk about this, but I don't think the voice is loud enough.
Sure.
We, in 2008, so not even 20 years ago, 2009, the Jewish disability advocacy, what's it called? Judaism. The Jewish Month for Disability was created as a reminder for that advocacy and push. But
Jewish month?
Jewish Month for Disabilities.
Gotcha.
It's in February.
Okay.
But what was I going with this? But still, in 2024, we're seeing reports of synagogues being built without wheelchair ramps.
They're not accessible.
They're completely inaccessible. They don't have anything for people who are blind. They don't have wheelchair ramps. And the language is completely inaccessible to people who, for example, don't speak Hebrew.
Right.
And, for example, don't understand very fast talk. And so I just wanted to highlight that. I wanted to also note that there is a lot of ignorance and judgment within disability.
Mm-hmm.
There's an old interpretation of disability being caused because of a, a transgression that someone has done. For example, in the Talmud, um,
For those who don't know, the Talmud is a very lengthy,
argument
kind of.
book.
It's yeah, basically a book of interpretations and arguments on Jewish law
Yeah.
that was compiled in like the first few centuries of the Common Era, so like 100s to 500s. I don't. Someone's gonna fact check me on those dates. I don't remember specifically, but the first millennium
Yeah.
CE.
But there's a story within it
Mm-hmm.
of a guy, Nahum Ish Gamzu, who asks God to go blind and be footless and handless because he wasn't quick enough to feed a beggar. They see it as a punishment in that sense. Instead of
On who he asks God
he asks God.
to make him like
Yes.
that. I see.
And
So,
it's interesting to see that there are people who still hold up biases, even though we have enough research
Mm-hmm.
and we have enough proof, and we are more visible as disabled people to
Mhm.
see that, hey, this isn't caused by God.
Mm-hmm.
This is just how I was born or how I developed into
Yeah.
as an adult.
Well, there's certainly narratives about disability being something to be overcome.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean that in the sense of obviously individuals who are disabled might, through a variety of ways, um, grow or otherwise um, adjust to living with a disability some way. But there's a common idea that disability is like a curse that someone defeats
Yeah.
or a burden rather than maybe just a fundamental part of who they are that they have to negotiate like any other part of themselves.
I think one of my favorite quotes when it comes to disability, because I am not the first person who is disabled in my family,
Mm-hmm.
is that not enough people understand that disability is one of the few, what's the word? One of the few traits that you can get within your life. You
Right.
aren't born. You can be born disabled, but it's not inherent.
People can become disabled.
People
You
can
could get in
become.
a car accident or contract an illness or just grow old.
And people treat it like it's the end of the world,
Mm-hmm.
and it's stupid.
It is. I mean, I think there has to be understanding for, wanting to live one's life in a certain way and disability because of how our society is constructed.
Yeah.
Disability potentially making life more complicated. But that doesn't mean that it's
A death sentence.
a death sentence or just flatly negative or whatever. It's
Yeah.
just it's a fundamental part of the human experience. Disability.
And it brings more spice into my life.
Yeah. Believe it or not, we're actually running low on time.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. This has been great.
Yeah.
What I would love is we close out. It's a question I'm asking everyone in the lens of what their topic is. What are you looking forward to, in the sense of what kind of change are you seeing or hope to facilitate to improve the Jewish experience
Mm-hmm.
for disabled Jews, like like ourselves.
People are more cognizant of others.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a topic we've generally had in Judaism,
Mm-hmm.
but it is more so with the rise of technology, which I'm excited for. since a young age, have wanted to work in accessibility. And I know that more and more people are recognizing how useful it is to have this, how useful it is to have
Accessible technology.
accessible technology,
Yeah.
especially within the Jewish community. I know that the creator of Speechify, for example, is a Jewish person.
Mm-hmm.
I know that we are just pushing forward.
Is Speechify like a text screen reader?
Voice to text app.
Got you.
It's fantastic. He someone our age who recognizes how important it is to just promote this. I mean, we aren't hiding behind a curtain, and I'm happy that generally we aren't being forced as Jewish people to hide behind a curtain anymore, especially disabled Jewish people.
Yeah.
And I can visibly see how we recognize each other and our abilities.
Yeah, I think making Jewish spaces more accessible creates a stronger Jewish community.
I see that now, and I think we should see that even more.
Yeah. Well, do you have, just before we actually end, do you have any other things you wanted to mention or any other points that you wanted to bring up that you didn't get a chance to?
No, there's a bracha, a modern one, that was recently made for disabled people.
Sure.
I'm going to read it in English.
Okay.
It says, "Praised are you, creator of our universe, who makes people different from one another."
Amen.
Amen.
All right. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, Paulina, for
Thank
being
you
on
for
episode
having me
2.
on.
That was great. You had your John Mulaney moment, and I enjoyed
I
it.
had my John Mulaney moment, and I'm excited. I'm happy you had me on.
Cool. All right. Wonderful.